From haunted castles to tormented souls, Gothic villains have chilled readers and viewers for centuries. But what if we told you these terrifying characters were inspired by real people? In this documentary, we dive into the twisted truths behind iconic Gothic villains, exploring the obsessions, crimes, and dark legacies of the men and women who inspired them. We begin with the most famous Gothic villain of all, Count Dracula. While Bram Stoker's 1897 novel gave us a suave yet terrifying vampire, the true story behind Dracula is far bloodier. Stoker never visited Transylvania, but he read about Vlad the Third of Wallachia, also known as Vlad the Impaler, a 15th century prince who defended his kingdom from the Ottoman Empire. Vlad earned his nickname by skewering enemies on wooden stakes, sometimes thousands at a time. Rumors spread of Vlad drinking the blood of his enemies and dining among corpses. Though exaggerated, these tales fed into the legend that became Count Dracula. Gothic fiction took Vlad's cruelty, added undead lore from Eastern European folklore, and gave birth to a villain who feeds not only on blood, but also on human fear. Robert Louis Stevenson's 1886 novella, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, explores the duality of man, the respectable doctor versus his monstrous alter ego. But the idea didn't come from nowhere. In Edinburgh, Stevenson grew up hearing whispers of William Brodie, a respected cabinet maker by day, but a burglar by night. Brodie maintained a double life for years, robbing the homes of his wealthy clients using copies of their keys. Caught and executed in 1788, Brodie became a local legend. Stevenson's father even owned furniture made by him. The notion that a man could live two separate lives, one honorable, one evil, was the perfect seed for a Gothic transformation tale. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is often credited as the first true science fiction novel, but its Gothic roots run deep. Shelley was only 18 when she wrote it during a stormy night in 1816, surrounded by poets and thinkers. The real-life inspiration? A mix of personal trauma, grave-robbing science, and the Enlightenment era's obsession with life and death. In the early 1800s, experiments in galvanism, using electricity to animate the dead, fascinated and horrified the public. Scientists like Giovanni Aldini conducted shocking demonstrations using cadavers. Shelley had also lost a child shortly before writing Frankenstein. Her grief, paired with the emerging science of reanimation, birthed a creature who was not evil but abandoned and misunderstood. In Frankenstein's monster, Shelley created a Gothic villain who wasn't born a killer, but made one by the cruelty of mankind. The tale of Sweeney Todd, the demon barber of Fleet Street, has thrilled and disgusted audiences since the 19th century. But was he real? The first known version of Sweeney Todd appears in an 1846 penny dreadful titled The String of Pearls. In it, Todd slits customers' throats and his partner, Mrs. Lovett, bakes them into meat pies. While there's no hard evidence of Todd ever existing, there were numerous accounts of cannibalism, human meat sales, and serial killing in 18th century London. The story was likely inspired by an amalgamation of urban legends, criminal trials, and Victorian fears of social decay. Whether real or not, Sweeney Todd became the perfect Gothic villain, brutal, theatrical, and disturbingly plausible. Wuthering Heights isn't a horror novel, but Heathcliff, its brooding anti-hero, is pure Gothic villainy. He's cruel, obsessed, and seemingly beyond redemption. Some believe Emily Brontë based Heathcliff on her brother Branwell, a troubled man addicted to alcohol and opium. Others see echoes of Byronic heroes, particularly Lord Byron himself, who is famously dark, handsome, scandalous, and self-destructive. Heathcliff doesn't wield knives or magic, but he destroys lives through obsession and psychological torment. In Gothic literature, emotional brutality is just as terrifying as physical violence. Gothic villains don't exist in a vacuum. They need the right atmosphere. Many of the most famous Gothic stories were inspired by real places steeped in death, decay, and secrets. Whitby Abbey in England inspired key scenes in Dracula moors and foggy landscapes from Yorkshire-shaped Wuthering Heights. The catacombs beneath Paris and the dungeons of Europe fed Gothic imaginations. These places weren't just settings, they were characters in their own right. They helped Gothic villains breathe, stalk, and haunt. Gothic villains endure not just because they're frightening, but because they're human. They reflect our fears of death, duality, obsession, and isolation. Real people inspired them, real pain shaped them, and real history keeps them alive. As long as we wrestle with the darkness inside ourselves, we'll keep telling their stories in castles, on rooftops, in labs, and in our nightmares.